the Lack of Genius podcast in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast. So you may have noticed that was a shorter theme song. In fact, that was half of our theme song. Is that right, John?
I think so. Maybe. Which half? At the beginning or the end?
It was, you know what, to be fair, it was the last half, we're going to call it in quotes, but for all I know, if I actually counted the seconds, it could have been like 3/8 or 5/8.
Well, what if it was the middle half?
Literally just take any half of the song and that'll be our new intro. Well, we did this very deliberately because we're calling this episode 51 and a half. It's pretty ironic. We'll get into why this is 51 and a half and why this episode is much, much, much shorter than the usual nearly 40 minutes that we do. Why don't you tell the people where you are in this moment right now, John?
I mean, by the time this comes out, for the last week, I have been traveling with my wife and kids. We went to Kansas for Dr. Documentary's wedding.
That's his sister, for those of you who are new.
And Jared. And from there, we decided to then make the trek over to Colorado since we were already like 2/3 of the way there. Cool. And so we've been there the last few days. So I don't have my normal recording rig since I don't use a laptop anymore. So using the phone.
So if John does sound different, that is the reason. But I think you sound great for just being on a phone. It's the future is incredible. I'm so glad that we made it to the future because it's amazing how good we sound in the future. Oh yeah. And it was 100 and something degrees in Colorado today, so there was probably a lot of sweat under that beard. Am I right, John?
Oh yeah.
Have you ever gotten so sweaty that you've had to twist your beard out and sweat comes out?
A little, yeah.
Yeah, let's make that a goal. Let's make that a regular thing from here on out. So the reason I asked John to say where he is because, like he said, he's been traveling, and it's very ironic that we went a whole 51 weeks without missing an episode, and technically our streak is continuing, but we just with John traveling, and I'm not innocent in this either. I've had a busy week. I've had a lot going on. And so it was hard for us to find time to actually record a full and proper episode 52. So we made it to 51 weeks doing an episode every week. And then on the 52nd week is the time we run into this conflict. But John was wise and gracious enough to suggest that we at least hop on, give this little explanation, give this few minutes of podcast time to you, not only to explain why there's not a full episode, but to show our appreciation for you and to show that we are thinking about you. You're on our minds. We don't want to leave you hanging. I don't want to speak for you, John. That's sort of what I'm feeling. Would you, where are your thoughts right now?
No, that's it exactly. I had a lot of people at the wedding and stuff talking to me about the podcast, and everyone's loved it. Some people were finding out about it for the first time.
Oh, cool.
So questions about it. And some were even asking questions on how to do a podcast.
Oh.
I know that our sailing episode that's coming up here in a few weeks with Dale and Nikki, they've already their questions.
Awesome. I thought you said sealing, like the thing above us. I was like, oh, we have a seal. I didn't know you had a guest who knew a lot about ceilings. I would love to hear that. But sailing, yeah. Uncle Dale and Aunt Nikki are going to quiz us. They've been longtime supporters of this podcast.
They were talking about it, and they were like, I don't want to give away secrets and stuff. I do not know what any of the questions are.
Okay.
I do know that there is a true and false.
Oh, okay.
Possibly multi-parter questions.
I love that they already have the entire quiz done.
I don't think it's done. Okay. But they're getting there.
I'm sure that they're hearing this. I assume that they are. I so appreciate that thought going into it. I think most, if not all of our guests put a lot of thought into their quizzes. Oh, yeah. So I'm not discrediting any of them, but it is awesome to hear somebody like a couple weeks in advance, like, oh, I'm already putting pen to the paper.
My uncle said that they've already forgotten a lot of questions because they think of a question but not have anything to write it down.
Yeah.
Never think of it again.
It's almost a blessing and a curse to have that much time to do it for that exact reason. But you know what? If they end up with 18 questions and want to top our Joggler Barry, they're more than welcome to do that.
He was mentioned and with multi-part question.
Yeah, one of our surveys responses said that our Joggler was their favorite episode, so that was cool to hear. It's funny because we're already sort of reliving right now past podcasts. We had Barry, our Joggler. We had I meant to say in my last little spiel, congratulations to Dr. Documentary and to Jared, who you mentioned. I don't know if this is an appropriate occasion to actually say Dr. Documentary's name, or maybe we shouldn't, but that is John's sister, and she and her now husband Jared got married. She was a guest quizzing us about documentaries. If you are new to this podcast, that's why we call her the Doctor of Documentaries, and that's really exciting. Please send my love to that lovely couple.
Will do.
And hopefully they're listening to this, so you don't have to send them any love because they're hearing it right now.
Speaking of love, I know Kevin and we both love doing this. And
we are in love with each other as well.
He often gets referred to as my other girlfriend by my wife.
In the first days that we started texting, like the week or two that we started texting, you told me via text, like, Em just said, who are you texting, your girlfriend? Are you texting your girlfriend again? And It was me every time. But
no, I mean, you and I would probably still be, talking and whatnot.
Yeah.
But we definitely would not be doing the podcast still after a year if it wasn't for the fact that people actually listen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You hit it on the head. It was nice that we reconnected, and we'd probably be sending a text every few months or something. And that's cool. I think it's great if people can stay in touch this way. But like us starting the podcast allowed us to have a friendship. So it is kind of weird and cheesy to say, like, thank you to those of you listening for allowing us to have a friendship to grow. It's very cool from a personal standpoint.
I mean, I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been a creative outlet that is different than things I've done in the past.
Yeah, same.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
And I know we've both have learned things from it that can be used in other places.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm looking forward to continuing on.
Yeah, same here. And I say same, which sounds kind of funny because I work in radio, so I do speak for a living, but I've never done a long form show like this that just kind of gives me a platform to really like express myself, say my thoughts, come up with all the content. Most of the time on the radio, I'm speaking for 15 seconds at a time and just kind of being a friendly voice on the other side of the radio. And that's a skill, but I've never done anything like this. And so it's actually really sharpened my radio skills quite a bit. I feel way more confident on the mic. And so kind of, yeah, just to echo what John said, I've gained a lot from this. And it's nice that we're able to reminisce right now a bit. We are going to have an official episode 52 where we'll do it in a bit more of an in-depth way.
26.
What's that? Just like 26. It was the episode 26 extravaganza. Yeah, and 52 is 1 year. 52. We don't celebrate 50s. We celebrate 52s. Oh, that's how many cards are in a deck of cards. I feel like there's something special in that. We got to figure out how that's special, but that's special somehow. Yeah, John, I appreciate you so much.
Likewise.
I also appreciate Emily, your wife, for giving you to me for as often as she does to hop on here, because I know you got a lot to do as a family man, and it's nice that you're able to make the time to do things like this.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's been stressful at times for both of us, you and I, Kevin, to find the time to do it. But, I mean, I'm glad we've been able to do it we've able to plan far enough ahead to where it's always worked out. So
yeah, totes. Well, John, that feels like as good a place as any to wrap up this half episode, because we definitely don't want this going to full episode length, because then we'd be lying from what we said at the beginning. So,
right.
I hope you enjoyed this half episode, episode 51 and a half. We'll be back next week when John is back to the state that he lives in, which is Indiana, and I'll still be here in my little apartment with the dogs wrestling behind me. But yeah, John, safe travels. Enjoy the rest of your time.
Will do.
Send me a picture of that beard sweat, and we'll be back next week.
Sounds good.
Okay, adios. It's the Lack of Genius podcast in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast. Are you texting your girlfriend again?